So, hi everyone. My name is Kenya. I am the editor and network strategist of All Things Loop. And as you should know by now, Loop stands for Live It, Own It, Obtain It on Purpose. Y'all, we changed our little slogan. So I got to get myself together about it. So, we are a multimedia platform that aims to highlight the stories of people of color who are often overlooked, but are truly hidden gems in their respective industries. Our mission is to showcase leaders and influencers who are not only making a significant impact, but also living their lives with purpose. And Mental Health Awareness Month, this edition is going to be so amazing. I have another cover story, Mr. Cameron Williams. Cameron, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you.
Yeah, Cameron, let me just say, Cameron, you support me like you know me. Like you support me like you've been knowing me for years. Like I'm your cousin on the other side of the street. Like I said, who is this boy that keeps supporting me? But I appreciate it. Like, no, you don't have to support me, but let me tell you, it's so appreciated that, every time I post, I can assure that Cameron's gonna make sure he likes my post. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. And, before we dive too deep into the conversation, Ty, I
Yeah.
know will definitely be providing value to the audience, but I want to take a moment to just remind everybody that, whether you're an entrepreneur, corporate space, whatever you're in, like that's what it's about, support. You
Yeah.
know, running your own business and being in the space I've been for the last almost 2.5 years now, like it's proven to me that it doesn't have to be so cutthroat that everybody paints it out to be.
Absolutely.
We can all grind towards our goals, set goals, expectations for ourselves. But at the end of the day, it's all about having that network, having those friends around you, and the people to support you. So that's what support is for.
Yeah. So Cameron, tell me a little about yourself, and then also when you say that, tell me about why this topic of mental health awareness is so special to you. Like, what speaks out to you about it?
Well, that's a great question. So for all who don't know me, probably everybody who's watching will watch. We're uncovering hidden gems, but my name is Cameron Williams. I'm currently in Greensboro, North Carolina, as a junior at North Carolina A&T in the business college. So I'm supply chain management. I'm also an author, speaker, entrepreneur. We have a lot of hats that I continually wear, but that's what I do. But who I am, I want to really emphasize this. I am a brother. I am a son. I'm a person with a good heart who wants to see others who have good hearts do well, and I believe that ties into mental health and really just the importance of mental health. Right, I feel like, and definitely from my perspective, mental health is something that it needs to be talked about. These are conversations that need to be had. These are
Yeah.
conversations, not just something that we should talk about it just once on the
Yeah.
calendar. These are conversations we need to continually have. So for myself, mental health really looks, in my eyes and viewpoint, it's really about making sure you continually put yourself in a position to be the best you possible by taking care of yourself, taking care of your energy, your space, being able to take and foster your relationships. I believe there are so many components to mental health, but
Yeah.
like I said, it's just all about having those conversations and being able to break it down.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things or one of the reasons why I wanted to bring some light into this because when I was your age, younger, um, I don't think that I had this much awareness about the whole topic within. It took me it took me a while to get there. So could you give me not even a story, but something that allowed you to be so aware of saying like, you know what, I need to start taking care of myself. I need to start doing X, Y, and Z just so that you can be okay, because I don't think people understand that it's a big thing of making sure that you are okay. So tell me about like why that makes you want to bring that awareness to
Right. Wow, that's a great question.
it.
I want to get really personal with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a true testament to where I used to be as a person.
Mhm.
When I was 18, first at A&T, coming into my spring semester, I was at a point where my GPA was bad. I hadn't adjusted to the college life
Mhm.
at a great pace. I was at a point of I lost my scholarship for that year. The scholarship was my ticket to actually be able to go to college and not have to pay for a lot of student loans. So
Mhm.
when I got into that position of being in that lackluster position because I wasn't taking care of my responsibilities
Yeah.
and I wasn't paying attention to who I was as a person. I was worrying about this or going to the parties or having fun. I wasn't really paying attention to paying really pouring into myself as a person.
Mhm.
Once I got into the situation where I lost my scholarship, I was at a point where I felt empty. I wasn't enjoying life, and I realized I said I need to be able to pay better attention to who I am and how I'm taking care of myself as a person.
Okay.
And really, that turning point in my collegiate, I guess you could say career, my term, I guess that's the decision I started to make. Okay, well, I'm going to start doing better in terms of eating, in terms of how I'm taking care of my mental space, the
Yeah.
people I'm around, the decisions I'm starting to make. So I hope to answer the question, but that was that turning point for me.
Yeah. I no, it definitely did. I wish I wish I had more of your insight when I was in college. I think, oh my goodness, when I could think about college years and the state of mind that I was in, I wish I just wish I knew who I could lean on the most. And it seems as though you have just a little bit more of a spin on life. So, what resources could you give, or some tips that you can give the audience about just being more aware of who you are? Because I know that you said it was that turning point, but what resources or tips that you can give our audience to say, hey, you need to think about your mental health at this point?
That's also a great question. So for myself, I will hit on this. I say one resource that's really underrated in terms of mental health. I believe people don't talk about this nearly as much as they should, but having a mentor in your life and
Yeah.
you talk about mentorship, right? Can you? We always talk about mentorship and mentorship in the terms of business or finance, economics. We always talk about mentorship in that way,
Mm.
but we're not usually talking about mentorship in terms of whatever your spiritual journey or
Yeah.
discover who your best self is. We don't talk about mentorship in that capacity nearly as much as we should. So,
Yeah.
definitely what really helped me in terms of stepping into who I am today and putting myself back on the right path is reaching out to mentors, finding my mentors by being personable, being able to say, hey, well, I know I need help in these areas, right? So, in terms of mental health, one a key area in my life that was really lacking was my personal confidence, right? So
Mm.
that was definitely a point in my life where I knew I was in lack. So I said, hey, let me just sit down and who are people who are like older men, older women who appear really confident,
Mhm.
who every time you're around them in the room, they just light the room up. They can make anyone feel great and get things done that are productive. And I sat down and I wrote names down and I said, hey, well, let me be intentional in saying, hey, if I lack in this area, let me find people who are great in this area, I
Yeah.
believe, and reach out to them and build those relationships. So I definitely feel like mentorship in terms of building your mental health is really important. That's something that's helped.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So let's like switch gears just a tad bit. Let's talk about your book. I'm gonna go back to just the mental health thing, but let's talk about your book. Tell us why you wrote it, what headspace you were in when you wrote it, and really, how can we get this book?
So just news claimer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a very brief, I'm going to give some good detail, but it's a really passionate question. We could be here all night, honestly. I could talk about this for hours, honestly.
Yeah.
For the audience, just to give you guys context, this past year in 2023, I started my writing and my author journey.
Mhm.
And, I started it in March, and all of that started from me just praying in the morning, be able to, when I pray in the morning, start writing. So once I started myself on that path of, okay, let me digress my thoughts. Let me digest my thoughts and put it on paper. That's where all of the writing, that's where all of that began for me last year.
Yeah.
And I eventually got myself to a point last year where in October I published my book. I self-published my book.
Yay! I love it.
So I got myself to a point where I published it. And to be honest, I'll be honest with the audience.
Hmm.
I had so much fear before I published the book. And I'll tell you,
Absolutely.
the reason I had so much fear is because there were so many other things at that point in life. I was 20 years old. I have done that, I pushed myself to do. But growing up as a kid, I always read books. I never had the mentality or mindset that I could write and publish my own.
Hmm.
And I never thought that as a kid. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, I just read books. I never had the thought, man, I could write and publish my own book.
Yeah.
And that was a big fear component in me. Actually, when I was in the writing process, I said, man, like I'm actually doing something I never thought I would be doing. I never thought I'd do. So the like I said, my motivation, my inspiration for writing the book was understanding where I used to be,
Yeah.
where I was at in 2023, and where I wanted to go. For myself in 2023, 19 before going on 20, I realized that I made a very important decision in my life to change.
Yeah.
And I believe having that decision to change, it obviously changed my life. And I wanted to be able to be concrete and really explicit in my story and how I made that decision. Because I know there's a lot of people from ages, even young teenagers from the ages of 16, 17, even up to my age of 19, 21, 22, 23, because those ages aren't that old.
Yeah.
And I realized that there are a lot of teenagers and young adults who they're just at a point in life where they're trying to figure things out. They're at a point now where they're trying to find their place in the world. They're trying to find out how they're going to contribute, right? They're trying to find their interests. They're trying to find themselves as people.
Yeah.
And for myself, the motivation for me writing that book is because I know there are a lot of people that were in my space at 18 years old looking to change, wanting to change, but they didn't know how
Yeah.
and they didn't know where to start. So I wanted to write my book to answer those questions on my personal growth journey, my entrepreneurship journey, be able to share that advice and tidbits, be able to pass that on to other people.
Awesome. You're 19, 20?
So I'm 20 now. I'm
You're
20
20
now.
now. Okay, so listen, you as an African American young boy, young man, let me say young man, there's so much going on in the world, like so much going on in the world as far as just men not having that support system. And I know that you talked about mentorship and things like that, but could you give us your view and even some encouragement on how young boys that's growing up in your era, even in your age group, how they can overcome so much of the negativity that is going on with them right now with the police and just everything. So could you give some encouragement or even your view on it?
Yeah, that definitely. I love to get my view and encouragement. One thing I believe is important when talking about mental health and talking about all of the challenges that are in the world against young African American men is really just sitting down and acknowledging it. Right?
Yeah.
We have to sit down and say, okay, well, from my income level of the house I grew up in to my family lifestyle to my upbringing, look at your situation and say, hey, well, this happened, right?
Yeah.
Especially things in the past. Like me, I'm 20 years old. So there are a lot of things that happened in my childhood. I had to say, hey, well, these happened. Now, I don't have to allow these stigmas, my actual experiences. I don't have to allow them to define me, right? I don't have to allow them to define me as a whole person. So I feel like the first step that I had, and my advice to anybody is just acknowledgement. I want you to say, okay, well, these things happen. And I want you to, in that moment when you admit those things happen, I want you guys to say, okay, well, this happened, whether this is a negative or you don't feel like it's a negative or positive, I need you to say, okay, what's, the best way to respond?
Yeah.
The thing with everything that happens in the world, especially against African American young men, is we react so fast to everything.
Mm.
When it comes to police brutality, when we talk about other challenges against us in the world, we react so fast, but it's not we don't react too fast without thinking what's at stake.
Yeah.
For myself as a young African American male, especially say if I get pulled over and I know the cop is doing me unjustly, right? If I know that the police aren't treating me fairly, my reaction would be, well, hey, this is unfair. I want to get angry.
Yeah.
That would be the reaction. A proper response would be, I have people who love me. I have people who depend on me that are at home that are waiting for me to get home safely.
So it's
Even
choices.
I believe, yes, it's choices, and it can be hard choices, right? When you, especially
Yeah.
in a situation. Now, I'm not saying that those decisions that you have to make aren't hard, but I'm saying that when you're in a position where you're going to do great things, you can
Hmm.
impact so many lives. Instead of reacting so quickly to everything, I want you to take the time to say, okay, well, what's the best way for me to respond? What's the best way for me to act in this situation? Instead
Right.
of just making a quick reaction, just think about how you will respond.
Yeah. I love that. I think men, women, anybody can really take from that. I had a situation the other day. Oh my goodness. I was at the cash register and this lady was taking all day, like all day to get there. And and then when she went back, got something, then went to, and so I'm waiting in line and I'm waiting, the frustration. I got this baby that's crying. It's like, oh my goodness. And I just feel like in that moment, I could have reacted, in a different way. But what I'm learning is that we just never know what others are going through. Like we just never know. That lady very well could have just been going through a day, and if I would have reacted about her coming back and forth. Now, yes, was it frustrating? Absolutely. However, I'm learning that people do things for certain reasons that we may never know. But if I would have reacted, in a just in ungodly and just like, oh my goodness, and because she turned around and was like, I'm so sorry. Like she seemed like she was in a rush. She seemed like she was overwhelmed, and I was overwhelmed that day as well, and I knew how I felt and how I wanted to be talked to. And so, and when she said, I'm so sorry, she kept apologizing and things like that. And I just looked at it and I was like, it's okay. Like told her like two or three times, it's okay. Because I never know, like, I can kind of sway somebody's day if I can, if I can. So if I would have reacted that the way that I was feeling, it probably wouldn't have been the best. So I do believe in just the decisions and the reacting of the person as well. So I absolutely agree.
Yeah, and I want you to give yourself a pat on the back for responding in that matter because, like you said, she could have been going through one of the worst days she had in a long time.
Right.
And when you're in a position where you're feeling emotion, like I said, it's all about acknowledging that, right? It's like saying, hey, well, I'm frustrated because it's taking a while, or I may be behind schedule, I may be rushing. And then when you get in a position where you may be rushing or you just have a lot to take care of, you have a lot on the schedule. I know for my time, I'm not perfect. So sometimes when I'm like rushing and I'm doing things, when I have like a stoppage of what I'm doing, I'm like, all right, man, hurry up. Like, hurry up. I need this to speed up along. But you just acknowledging your emotion in that scenario, and you just saying, hey, well, instead of reacting in a way where I could provoke her or make her feel sad or make her feel a negative emotion, you say, hey, it's okay. And that probably made her feel so much better. I want to thank you for doing that.
Okay, so you are called, or you call yourself, the morale builder. Like, so tell me why and where did that name come from?
I'm glad you asked that. And for myself, like I said, just detailing my mental health journey, one of the
Mhm.
biggest things that I faced that was a big obstacle for me was my confidence.
Mhm.
I wasn't always the most confident person in the room. I wasn't always the person that could go around and give a smile to everybody and let everyone know everything's gonna be okay and take care of business. I wasn't always the person that I am today. So
Yeah.
once I began my personal development journey and when I
Mhm.
started to build my confidence, it's almost like I'm like, man, like I feel so much better because I'm taking the steps to better myself as a person.
Mhm.
And once I made that decision and I started that journey, I said, man, this feels so great, man. Like I know there's so many other people who were in a predicament like I was in, right? Just at a
Yeah.
point things may not be working out. You're not as confident in yourself. And really, the name, the morale builder, came from one of my mentors, and it actually came up recently. It came up in around October,
Okay.
and we had got off a call with a few young men from around Greenville, North Carolina, because that's closer to my hometown. And me and my mentor, we finished up the call. It was a total of 6 young men in total. And one of the young men was just having a hard time in school. He's a high school student, and he was having such a hard time. And I gave him words of encouragement, just talked about some of the things he's doing right now. I sat down with him and some of the other men on the call and just laid out a plan for them in terms of their goals and how they want to conduct themselves as young men. I sat
Mhm.
down, and after the young men logged out, my mentor said, like, man, like, I could tell definitely the way you conducted yourself that way, and just talking to him, I can tell that you really helped him. And he
Mhm.
was like, I could tell that the words that you were saying, it wasn't just like words to him. You actually did help him. And he was like, man,
Wow.
like, you just built his confidence, so you just built his morale. And I'm like, it just stuck with me because the reason it did, because like I said, I wasn't always at a point where I was helping other people. But
Yeah.
I was at a point where now I was the one that needed help.
Right. Right.
I was the one trying to build my confidence, right? So it's just like when he said that, it stuck with me because I
Mhm.
remember myself being at that point where I was like, man, I want to build myself as a person. I'm not confident. I'm just trying to get myself in a better position. And
Yeah.
I once he said that, it stuck with me, and ever since then, this is something that I continue to do in terms of pouring into other young men and women, and even people that are my age. Like, I sit down with a lot of people, and I'm like, I always try to do my best to give my time, attention, and actually help and pour into other people. And I feel like that's something that it was a component of my life that wasn't always there, but now that I have it, I love that it's there.
Yeah, I love it. So how can people follow you if they want to book you for their next event? How can they buy the book? Like give us all that.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I have a personal website
Mhm.
that I have. So pretty much if you type in www.cameronmwilliams.com, it'll pretty much come up on any browser, whether you're on Yahoo, Google, Safari, whatever website or excuse me, browser you're on. The
Mhm.
website should come up. I have a personal website. I also have social media. Pretty much all my social media handles are
Mhm.
Cam Williams Inc. So it's CAM, my last name Williams, so WILLIAMS, and Inc. So INC. It's pretty much all my social media handles, guys, just for recognition. And
And
go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and for my book, 20 Lessons in 20 Years, I do have my books available on Amazon for the paperback versions. I also do have the ebook version that will be uploaded to my Amazon storefront pretty soon. So pretty much it's easy to get in contact with me. I can also make sure that in the comment sections, once this is uploaded, I put all my information in there as well. That way, if
Mhm.
anybody wants to contact me, ask me any questions, book me, whatever, I'm not a person that's like don't contact me, because I feel
Mhm.
like it's about building that relationship. It's about
Yeah.
connections, and that's, like I say, that's what it's all about.
I gotta definitely get the book. I just looked it up and I'm like, oh my goodness, I gotta support you. Like, if nothing else, I have to support you. And so, what do else do you have coming up that we can support? And so everybody can go follow you and go support whatever you have coming up.
Yes. So I do have, let me see, I do have a speaking engagement. It's a virtual conference. It's called the Learning Exchange. Now, this is a virtual conference that I'll be giving a presentation on
Wow.
February 8th. So, and that when I look back at my post today, once I've been networking with a lot of the speakers, because there's 66 of us in total, including me. And I
Wow.
realized I was the youngest speaker, like 20 years old.
Hmm.
They're like, man, you're 20 years old, man. That's wow. That's amazing. And I realized that, man, I'm really doing something that
Yeah.
pouring into other people, but it's like I'm making great connections, and I'm learning and pouring into myself along the way.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's, like I said, the Learning Exchange. It's a virtual conference. Pretty much, it's on my social media. I posted the link to register, 10. And like I said, not only will it be an opportunity for people to be able to stream and be able to get some great knowledge and advice. But it's a great place to network as well. We'll have virtual lounges where people can drop in one-on-one networking. And really, like I say, it's about building that connections and building those relationships. And this is just a wonderful opportunity to do so. Of course, with classes, that's something that's always on my schedule.
Right.
We're in the junior year now, so we them classes are knee deep this time.
Yeah. Now, so do you plan on being an entrepreneur like full time after school, or what's your plans for that?
That is a great question, and honestly, I could have given you so many answers, but to give you the most concrete and honest one,
Mhm.
uh, I feel like, especially with entrepreneurship, in the past, I've been so teeter totter about it because, growing up, I didn't really have too many entrepreneurs in my family. I didn't have
Right.
too many people pushing me to be a business owner, pushing me to be an author, pushing me to be an executive. But,
Mhm.
along the way, it's just all about realizing what you want for yourself.
Yeah.
Um, so for my standpoint, in terms of what I want to do after I graduate undergraduate, I always knew that if I would return to school, it would be on my terms. I
Yeah.
wouldn't rush into getting my MBA and getting my master's. I wouldn't rush into it. It would just be a situation to where I could decide to commit to the time frame. But yes,
Mhm.
I do plan on being an entrepreneur full time. I do understand that being an entrepreneur isn't always easy. Trust me, I know because I've
Mhm.
been, but I feel like nothing in life is easy. You know,
Yeah.
we talk about things being easy and things being passive all the time, but at the same time, when you're in the mode of building towards what you want,
Yeah.
that's not easy.
No,
building
it's at all.
building the life and achieving your goals, that's never going to be easy because if that
Yeah.
was everybody would do it. But yeah, I do plan on being an entrepreneur full time, continuing to speak, continue to be an author, and continue to, like I said, pour into people around me. So that's
Mhm.
definitely, like I said, in my future plans, and that's what I plan on doing.
I love it, Cameron. Now, I I don't know a lot of young men your age. Maybe I do, like my cousins and things like that. But if I don't know anybody that's gonna make it, I definitely know you gonna make it. Like you are going to be somebody. And I'm just grateful, to be on the journey with you. And I was able to interview you and to say, when you get up there and on that billboard, or you get your Nobel Peace Prize award, whatever award you get, I can say that I actually was able to interview you. So I'm honored that I'm on this journey with you, and I'm honored that you always support me. And so I'm definitely rooting for you. I'm getting that book, and y'all should too. So I thank you, Cameron. Like I love the conversation. Whenever you want to come back, then let me know. We can get a jump on a live, whatever you want to do. So I support you and I thank you for supporting me as well. So guys, this is Cameron. Please go support Cameron. Go get his book. Go follow him. Go support his next event that he's gonna be on speaking. If you do not, then I'm gonna come looking for you. You know what I'm saying? So you all have a great night. I love y'all. And until next time.
All right, you guys, take care.